If you're like me, then you probably are sometimes intimidated or are confused about Italian wine, but there's no reason to be. You know, Italian wines are some of the most dynamic and interesting wines made all over the world. There are 20 wine regions of Italy, and these regions are very unique, so we can understand why it can be slightly intimidating. But the best way to start is by starting to drink. And in this pack, we're gonna try side by side some of the best grapes that Italy has to offer. All 4 of these red wines have something unique and special that make them really amazing red wines to drink on their own. Or if you're having friends over and you want to do an Italian tour, you can have these 4 side by side and really understand some of the nuances of these great noble grapes. This Sgaly Rosso Piceno is a blend of Montepulciano, Merlot, and Sangiovese. And if you've never had Montepulciano, I really encourage you to make it one of your go-to grapes. Montepulciano is a grape that you find all over the central part of Italy, and in this case it's on the Adriatic side. And I think with this glass of wine, you can really feel like you're in Italy, and really more specifically that you're on the Adriatic side. You almost smell the sea from the glass. This ripeness of fruit, like black plums and overripe red fruit. But then you get this really burst of sun-dried tomato and basil and fresh herbs, and it's a really enjoyable wine. Whether it's a summer night and you're grilling, or if you have a hunk of Parmesan cheese and some balsamic vinegar, it's a perfect wine to finish your summer evening. If we take a trip to the Piedmont region of Italy in the northwest section, we find a grape called Nebbiolo. And more specifically, there's a region called Alba, and Alba is a really beautiful town known for its white truffles, and this fog that comes into the area is why we name the grape Nebbiolo. We name it after this fog. So this particular bottle of Boschi del Signori is a Nebbiolo d'Alba, but it's declassified, meaning it's grapes made in the Barbaresco region. What I love about Nebbiolo is it always seems to have this dynamic, intriguing nose of almost potpourri and rose petals and tar and sour cherries, but it also has power. So it's subtle on the nose, but when you taste it and when you have a sip, it's really one of those wines that all wine lovers of big wines, you know, the Napa Valley cab lover, just enjoy the wine. It has so much structure, as we might say. So, oh God, it's so good. You feel the sides of your mouth salivating and your tongue all dried out and dusty. It's the perfect wine for any kind of fatty foods, whether it's a pork shoulder that you're making, or even if you have a steak. It's a perfect wine to cut through some of the richness and the fatty parts of those heavier cuts of meat. So delicious. Sometimes when I'm tasting wine, I feel like I'm visiting with old friends. And this is a Rosso di Montalcino. It's 100% Sangiovese, and I really love the way that this wine just speaks to me. It has so much intensity and yet so subtle. I love Sangiovese, and I've been like rediscovering it lately, trying to remind myself why it's such a special wine and why it ages so well. So from the region of Montalcino, the hillside town in Tuscany, we find Sangiovese that expresses its place, and it has a lot of that black fruit and red fruit, tomato water, has a nice firm body and tannin structure, and really just is a pretty wine if you're making bolognese or you're having some tomatoes and mozzarella or eggplant parmesan or anything that's an Italian American favorite would be perfect with this wine. Many people are familiar with Tuscany, and you might have heard of some of the classic regions of Chianti or Montalcino. This is a really great example of a super Tuscan, and super Tuscans were really well known because they actually broke the rules of the local appellations. So let's just say super Tuscan is a wine that does not follow the local DOC or DOCG laws. In this case, this is a blend of Sangiovese, which is the noble grape in Chianti and in Montalcino. But we also blend some international grapes. In my case, Cabernet with Merlot. And what I love about that is you have this like special grape with its tomato water and stewed red fruit and savory herbs. And that is kind of like the sense of Tuscany and the sense of place. But then you have these grapes that support that grape. You have Cabernet with its international reputation and big full body and tannin, and then Merlot, a very classic grape to blend with Sangiovese and blend with a Cabernet, just to round it all out and soften it. It's a really great way to explore Super Tuscans. Thanks for traveling in Italy with me. It was so much fun taking you to some of my favorite places, whether it was Piedmont with the Nebbiolo grape in Nebbiolo d'Alba, the Adriatic side of Italy with the Montalcino and the Rosso Piceno region, the hillside town of Montalcino with the Rosso di Montalcino, or just exploring and rediscovering why Tuscany makes such beautiful wines with blends of indigenous and international grapes. Cheers.